Hello, beautiful, amazing children. I hope you're all happy. We're still in lockdown, but we're still going to learn our Parsha very happily. This week's Parsha that I'm going to do with you now is called Vayeitzei, and he went out. And Rabbi Lawrence very happily and very kindly downloads what I sent him and turns it into YouTube. So I'm trying to make them a bit shorter for Rabbi Lawrence. I don't know that I can do it, Rabbi Lawrence, but I'm going to try not to talk too much. Okay, so are we ready to roll back the time, beautiful children? I've got my t-shirt on. Have you got your t-shirt on? Let's go. Rolling back the time, and one more, rolling back the time, and one more, rolling back the time, and thinking and thinking and thinking. Parshat Vayeitzei, what's happening? What's going on? Well, Yaakov's had to run away from Esav. Esav's a bit upset. He missed out on that big bracha, although Yitzchak made it quite clear in the end that when he sent Yaakov away, it was all groovy doofy. So here we go. We've got the laminate of, and somebody, a little child, bent it, so it's all creased. You would never do that, would you, children? No, there you go. Yaakov's running away from Esav. SPS, some people say, aka, also known as the Midrash, I do a lot of that Yaakov along the way met or was chased by Eliphaz, Eliphaz being Esav's living relative. Why? Stick 'em up. This is a hold up, Yaakov. I've been told to get rid of you. And Yaakov says, Rashi says, SPS, some people say, okay, also known as the Midrash, don't hurt me. Don't do anything to me. If you take all my money away, then it's like I'm not here anymore. It's like I don't exist. And Yaakov gave all his money. Some people say Yaakov left his house penniless, and some people say he actually had a lot of money on him to give as gifts, etc. But Eliphaz came and took it all away. So on goes Yaakov. Yaakov suffers a lot in his lifetime, and it's really not fair. He suffers a lot. And he finds a place to sleep. But there's only stones, and he puts these 12 stones, which we know are going to be the 12 tribes. They're going to come from Yaakov. From his wives come the 12 tribes. And he puts them down, he goes to sleep, and in the night he dreams. He dreams of angels going up the ladder and down the ladder. Who are these angels? Well, these angels, I've got all different laminates. These angels are angels that have accompanied him all the time that he's been where he's going, but now those angels are going back, the Eretz Yisrael angels, they're going back up, and the new angels that are come Chutz La'aretz, they're coming down to protect him, to help him, to make sure he's okay. Right, so he sleeps for the night, and in the morning, all of those 12 stones become one. There we go, Bnei Israel all together. And some people say, aka also known as the Midrash, that also before all this happened, Yaakov had gone off to a yeshiva to learn Torah, the yeshiva of Shem and Eva, for 14 years. That's a long time to study. So ask your mummies and daddies how long they studied for their degrees. I think it's longer, maybe. Okay, so on Yaakov goes, and he finds the place that he's meant to go to find Lavan's daughters. Here we go. Gets to a well. And when he's at the well, it's a huge big stone. This isn't a stone, it's my glass of water. It's a huge big stone on the well. Oh my goodness. What's going to happen? Well, he takes a look around and he says to the people around, do you know Lavan? Oh, yes, we know Lavan, they say, all these shepherds together. And look, here's his daughter Rachel. Wow. The minute Yaakov sets eyes on Rachel, he says to himself, she's so swell, she's so swell. I can't believe it. She's the best thing that could happen to me. I hope we get married and we'll all be free. It's all going through his head. She is exactly the woman of his dreams. She is exactly the woman that he thinks, yes, she's going to continue this special Jewish religion for us. She's going to continue it for us. And he had promised Yaakov, if Hashem protects me, if Hashem gives me food and clothing, then I will give 10% of everything that I have to Hashem. All going through his head, no doubt. And he had also realized that he'd passed a very special place called a very, very special place where the Bet HaMikdash was going to be standing, the Har HaMoriah. Wow, what a special place. So he went back there to offer sacrifices before, here he is, in front of Rachel. This is the woman of his dreams. This is the woman that he hopes to marry. It's so exciting. Well, what can he do to help to flex his muscles, to show how excited he is to finally meet her? Usually they all had to wait by the well to remove the big boulder. Maybe they didn't trust each other. Maybe they thought people would steal the water if they could only have it but to themselves. So Yaakov meets Rachel and he lifts the boulder off the well all by himself. And Rachel goes running off to tell her daddy that this man who's just lifted the lid off the well, Hayta yafat Torah v'yafat mar'eh. Rachel was beautiful. And she went off to tell her daddy that she had met his family. She had met Yaakov. And what does Lavan, her daddy, think about that? Is he a very nice man? No, he really is not. And yet, Lavan possibly thinks, oh, I'm in the money, I'm in the money, Yaakov's coming, I'm in the money. Because don't forget that Eliezer, when he'd come to his father's household, to Besuel's household, Besuel is not with us, there was a lot of money, there was a lot of gifts. Yes, I'm going to be rich, I'm going to be rich, I can't wait. So Lavan goes running up to Yaakov. And SPS, some people say, a lot of's made of the hugs, to feel him, feel in his pockets, have you got any money, the kiss. No social distancing, there's no yucky virus at that point. Maybe you've got some gold teeth or something. But Yaakov explains, I'm penniless. I came with no money from his father. Either literally he came with no money from his father, or all his money was taken away by Eliphaz. Either way, nothing to give to Lavan. Lavan has a little plan tick-tocking in his head and says, well, you know, you're my relative. Well, you should come and be with me, as if he's such a very pleasant guy. What do we know about Rachel? We know that Rachel has a sister called Leah. And the Torah tells us through this parsha, Ki snua Leah. Leah is unloved, or Leah, even worse, is hated. Who loves and who hates Leah? I could talk about that with you children for hours, but we can't because it's usually older people and I don't have the time. Give a little think about why was Leah so unloved and who could possibly have hated her. She also, SPS, some people say, aka also known as the Midrash, she had very weak eyes. Why? Well, possibly because if the older daughter, Leah was perhaps the older daughter, if the older daughter, and Lavan says she's the older daughter, if the older daughter has to marry the older son, then Yaakov's got that brother called Esav. And Leah doesn't want to have to marry Esav. She doesn't, but maybe that bothers her. So here we are. We have two daughters, one Rachel and one Leah. And Leah is constantly tearful. She's got bad eyes. LeLavan shtei banot, Shem hagdola Leah. Lavan had two daughters. The older one is Leah. V'shem haktana Rachel, and the name of the younger one was Rachel. Ve'enei Leah rakot, the eyes of Leah are tender. V'Rachel hayta yafat Torah v'yafat mareh. And Rachel was beautiful of form and beautiful in appearance. Okay, what's the deal, Lavan wants to know? I can't, it's not fair. What do you want? You've lived here a month or so. Tell me what the deal is. What would you like, Yaakov? And Yaakov says, well, actually, I'd very much like to marry your daughter Rachel. And Lavan says, groovy doovy, work for me 7 years. Wow. How long do your mummies and daddies work to get a degree? 7 years. And then you can have Rachel. It's a long time, but it was like a week for Yaakov because he loved her so much. So what was he going to work as? Lorry driver? No lorries. Captain of a ship? They weren't at sea. Lavan asked Yaakov to work for him as a shepherd, and Yaakov becomes a shepherd to marry Rachel. Okay, all sound good? All sound okay? Time for the wedding. Lavan is meant to be offering his daughter Rachel as a bride to Yaakov. Should all be okay? Except that Lavan is going to trick Yaakov. Lavan wants maybe to trick Yaakov. Is Lavan going to be able to trick Yaakov? There's a big feast. Everybody's come together. Yaakov is a shepherd. He's done his bit of the deal. He's been faithful. He's worked hard. Here comes the bride with a very heavy... Here comes the bride with a veil on her face. Do you think it's possible there's someone else in her place? Here comes the bride with a veil on her face. Do you think it's possible there's someone else in her place? There is someone else in her place. And the next morning, Yaakov realizes this is not Rachel. This is Leah. SPS, some people say, aka also known as the Medrash, that Rachel, even though she had secret codes that only Yaakov and Rachel knew, she so didn't want to embarrass her sister that she even gave up marrying the man of her dreams so that her sister would not be embarrassed. And you have to realize, children, that in those days, not today, some parts of the world you do have a man marrying more than one wife, but in those days it was acceptable and it happened. Okay, right. The marriage took place. Yaakov went straight back to Lavan and said, excuse me, I was promised Rachel and you gave me Leah. Here comes Lavan's talking, his sweet talking. Oh, Yaakov, he says. Well, they're not quite like that. Oh, Yaakov, it's just not our custom, to marry the older one before the younger one. I tell you what, work for me another 7 years and I'll give you Leah. But because I'm so nice, you can, after the week of Sheva Brachot, all these lovely festivities we're having for your marriage to Leah, then you can marry Rachel. Okay? So 7 and another 7, how much does that make, children? That makes 14 years. 14 years. But Yaakov, in this week's Parsha, when we progress in this week's Parsha, it was already 20 years he'd worked for Lavan. So how many beautiful children were born to Yaakov at this time? Let's sing. Reuven, Shimon, Levi, Yehuda, Yisachar, Zevulun, Dan, Naphtali, Gad, Asher, Yosef, not yet Binyamin. These are the 12 Shevatim. And of course, there was also Dinah, girl power. Who has who? Well, Kisnua Leah, poor Leah, who is unloved or not as wanted as she should be, is the first to have babies. And she has Reuven. Reuven, look everybody. I've got a baby. I have a son for my trouble. Look, Reuven. Then she has Shimon. Look, listened, Shema, listened. I have been given this one too, even though I'm not his favourite wife. It's hard to understand that. I've got Shimon. And then there's another baby, Levi. Hey, I've got Levi. Now Yaakov will really be attached to me because I have 3 boys already. But wait, another baby number 4, which is Yehuda. I will praise Hashem. I'm so happy that I have had 4 sons. Nothing for Rachel. Rachel sees, no, I'm not having any babies. So she does get upset that she can't have any babies, and she says to Yaakov, I want to have a baby. And Yaakov says, but Rachel, this is up to Hashem. So what had happened when they got married was that when Yaakov married Leah and Yaakov married Rachel, was that Lavan gave his maidservant, or maybe a half-sister of Leah, to Leah. Hers was called Zilpah. And Rachel, he gave his maidservant, or her half-sister, Bilhah. So they had maidservants, ladies in waiting. They were very special. They were people of great importance in those days. So Rachel gives Bilhah to Yaakov, and Bilhah has, and Yaakov marries her, and Bilhah has a baby called Dan. And Rachel says, right, Hashem has judged me. He's given me a son through Bilhah. Wow, Dan, thank you very much. And then Bilhah has another baby boy called Naphtali. And Rachel says, I want to be equal. I want to be equal with Leah. So thank you for Naphtali. And then Leah sees that she's not having any more babies for the moment. And of course, they have to have the 12 Shvatim. They're not yet that. So Leah says, okay, so I will give Zilpah, my maidservant, my lady in waiting, to Yaakov. So Yaakov marries her. And Yaakov has, and with Zilpah has a baby boy called Gad. Good luck, Leah says. He's brought good luck. Thank you for Gad. And then Zilpah has another baby boy called Asher. Happy, smiley, happy face. Leah says, oh, I'm really happy. That's amazing. And then Leah has more babies. Kisnua Leah. All the time Leah felt that she wasn't in a position that she wanted to be in. But look, Leah, Yizachar. And Leah says, this is my reward from Hashem. Hashem has rewarded me. And then another baby boy, the sixth baby boy, Zevulun. And Leah says, this is a good portion that Hashem has given me. Everybody, we all know, we're still talking about it today, Leah. Look how many children you were able to give Yaakov. Look how important you were in the story of the Shvatim. Kisnua Leah? Maybe not. Maybe yes. The Torah never wastes its word and never tells us something that we shouldn't be aware of. But look, 6 beautiful boys Leah has given Yaakov. And then she's going to have her last baby. Was it going to be a boy? Maybe that wouldn't have been so good. So she has a girl. Girl power! Dinah. We're going to learn more about Dinah moving forward. Finally, Sof Kol Sof. Finally, Rachel is remembered by Hashem. And Hashem gives her big dream of having a baby. And remember, children, we must be very careful. If we see people that don't have children, we have to be very careful not to upset them. Rachel finally has a baby, and her baby boy is born Yosef. And she says to herself, adding, may Hashem please add more. And she has Yosef, and Hashem will add more, Binyamin. But when she has Binyamin, she herself will go back to Hashem. But that's not in this week's Parsha. Okay, here's all the fact-checking of who has who. I hope you can see it. I know it's not very easy to see because it's on my phone. Okay. Time to go home. Time to go home. Yaakov and your family, it's time to go home. Lavan's sheep shearing, Lavan's gone off to roam. Yaakov and your family, it's time to go home. Yaakov had managed to get a lot of sheep. Yaakov had managed to get a lot of sheep. Lavan had tried to deceive him, but each time he tried to deceive him, Yaakov had managed to get more sheep. Yaakov had already worked 14 years for the wives, but what about the 6 years left? Yaakov was constantly tried to be cheated by Lavan, but it didn't work. Spotted, speckled, brown, not, whatever Yaakov chose, it worked. Whatever Lavan chose, it didn't work. And Yaakov was very careful with sticks and things to make these beautiful sheep and lambs and goats, whatever he was going to have. He won because Hashem let him win it. And Yaakov says it's Hashem that's given me these beautiful presents. And he has camels, and he has donkeys, and he worked in the hot sun, and he worked in the frost of the night. And Lavan hears that Yaakov is trying to get away. He goes to sleep. Hashem wakes him, an angel wakes Lavan up in the dream. I'm warning you, you can't hurt Yaakov. Don't you try and do it. Yaakov runs away. The children, the wives, they all agree to go. They say, yes, whatever Hashem tells us to do, we'll do. What's going to happen? Rachel does something that Yaakov doesn't know. Rachel steals the trophim. Rachel steals her daddy's idols, the one thing she thinks she can do. And she sits on her camel with the idols in the sack of the camel. Oh my gosh! And Lavan's coming right up. And Lavan's very angry. I could hurt you, but I won't. I could be evil, but I won't. How could you deceive me, Lavan says. You left as if prisoners. I would have let you go with joy. I would have let you go with songs. I would have let you go with drums. I would have let you go with harps. There was a beautiful girl who recently had a bat mitzvah, and she was amazing on her harp. But anyway, what a load of rubbish. I couldn't kiss my grandchildren. Now we know that Lavan's behaviour wasn't so nice anymore to Yaakov, because Yaakov had noticed it and said, Lavan's behaviour is not so good. That's why we have to go home. It's time to go home. And Yaakov didn't take anything that didn't belong to him. Rachel had taken the idols. Where are my gods? Lavan says. Why did you steal my gods? And Yaakov says, by the heat of the day, by the frost of the night, I looked after you. Look at all these people. They're all my family. Do you think I want to hurt them? Do you think I ever hurt you? I never did. I never took a penny for all of the lambs and sheep that, went missing or whatever. Never, ever, ever. I worked so hard. All these beautiful 12 sons. Why are you doing this to me, Lavan? Why, when I've worked so hard for you? And Yaakov is a tzaddik, and he says, whoever has your idols, lo yichyeh, he will not live. Out of the mouth of a tzaddik. Who's got the idols? I showed you the laminate. Rachel has it. She's sitting on the camel, the trophim, the idols are there. And she says, I'm so sorry, Daddy. Lavan has gone to everybody's tent to check. It's a woman thing. I don't fancy getting up today. Maybe I've got a tummy ache. Maybe I don't. It's a girl thing. And Lavan lets it go. And he doesn't check the camel. And they set up a big amount of stones at Gal Ed that Lavan in Aramaic calls Yagar Sadusa in Aramaic, a witness heap, a heap of stones, Gal Ed for us in Hebrew. This is our point of no return. You don't come over it, I don't come over it. That's our peace treaty. There's a lot more to talk about that, but for grown-up children, So the stones, they agree to part peacefully. Wow, what a parsha. What's going to happen next? Yaakov is on his way home. Sorry, I haven't managed to make this video much shorter, but I hope you enjoy it, and I can't wait to see you again soon. Listen to your mummies and daddies and do what they say. Listen to your mummies and daddies and don't forget to pray. All the wonderful rabbis, they always lead the way. Then we will be happy. Don't worry, everything's going to be just fine, children. See you again soon, and I have got my Siddur handout nearly done, which Shimon says if people need it, they can contact the office and get it sent to them. I'm just waiting for a beautiful little boy to do the back page. See you soon. Bye.